My brothers and sisters, there are moments in history when a single voice rises above the noise, when one soul captures the heartbeat of a people, the pain of a nation, and the hope of an entire world. Bob Marley was one such soul. And today, on the 80th anniversary of his birth, we gather not just to celebrate a legend, but to reckon with the fact that his words still live. His music, yes, still moves, and his warnings still ring true. I stand before you deeply honored to speak on this occasion. But more than that, I stand here as a disciple of his vision. I must confess to you something personal. I've always kept a picture of Bob Marley as a background on my phone. Why? Because when I chose a life of public service, I chose the mission, yes, of joining others to work towards the emancipation of our people. Not just from economic or social constraints, but from the most dangerous form of bondage, mental slavery. And there is no greater anthem for that cause and redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. My friends, when I first heard that song as a teenager on a Friday night, I will never forget it. And I did on that occasion recognize that something special was taking place. I didn't know at the time that Bob was enunciating the language and words of the late great Marcus Mosiah Garvey. But he understood the power of his reach and the extent to which he could make those words live again at another time and in another space. And Bob didn't just sing those words, he lived them. He demanded that we wake up and think critically, stand up and build a world that would not simply carry the Caribbean forward, but elevate it. Today, as we look around our region and our world, we must ask ourselves, have we lived up to that call? For there seems to be so much trouble in the world, as I've had to recall and reflect. Bob warned us decades ago with so much trouble in the world, and he warned us today with those words as they haunt us more than ever today. We are living in a time of profound uncertainty. We turn on the news and we see war after war, suffering after suffering. We didn't expect to see this 20 years ago. In Ukraine, in Gaza, in Sudan, in Haiti, so many innocent people caught up in the grip of violence. And we cite the number of deaths as if we were counting peas. All of this, my friends, while the world still adjusts in the aftermath of a pandemic that truly tested our resilience, that stole in many instances our loved ones, and that exposed, yes, for sure, the deep inequalities that still plague our world. It also allowed that power to be able to dominate and bullying to be able to dominate. My friends, COVID-19 was more than just a health crisis. It was truly a lesson. It showed us that the world is still deeply divided, that some countries can hoard vaccines while others are left begging, that against the advice of Bob and Haile Selassie, that they are treated as first-class and second-class citizens. It revealed the vulnerabilities in our economies, the gaps in our healthcare systems, the struggles of our small businesses, and indeed the way that the most vulnerable among us suffer first and suffer worse. And yet, in the face of all of this, we see a rising tide of misinformation and manipulation, worrisome, lies spreading faster than truth, fake news undermining trust in democracy itself, an absence of common spaces where shared values and shared facts can in fact dominate. We see people being led to believe that up is down and that right is wrong and that facts are just opinions. And again, Bob warned us and saw this coming. He said, don't let them fool you or even try to school you. Because when the powerful seek to divide us, they don't do it with guns alone. Yes, they do it with propaganda. They do it with whispers and rumors, with social media and algorithms that sow chaos, with conspiracy theories that turn people against one another. And if we're not careful, we'll find ourselves not just in a battle for justice, but yes, my friends, in a battle for reality itself. And let us look at the Caribbean's own struggles. My friends, let us not fool ourselves. Our struggles are not just distant ones. Right here in our own Caribbean, we face crises that cannot be ignored. Violence is rising in too many of our communities, and not just the kind that Bob sang about in Johnny Was, not just the suffering of the innocent, but indeed the senseless bloodshed fueled by high-powered weapons that have no place in our societies. We see young men, our young men, picking up automatic guns smuggled into our shores, choosing destruction over creation. And for what? A moment of power? A false sense of security? Let me quote, until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, everywhere is war. We remember the words. My brothers and sisters, if we do not act, we risk losing an entire generation, not to war in the traditional sense, but to a war of the mind, a war of the soul, a war of hopelessness. And we must ask ourselves truly, how did we get here? How did we, the children of revolutionaries, the children of freedom fighters, the children of the salt of earth who built this region through blood, sweat, and tears, how did we get here? How have we allowed this cycle to continue? I believe there's a responsibility of leadership. And leadership is about action. Bob understood the power of his words and his actions and did not wait for governments to change the world. He used his art. He used his influence. He used his voice. He knew that justice is not given. Justice is demanded. So I ask you, are we demanding enough? Are we demanding that the global financial system recognize that small island states should not have to beg for climate justice? Are we demanding that our education systems teach our children not just how to make a living, but how to make a difference? Bob reminded us, you can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So let us not be fooled into thinking that our fate is in the hands of others. The fate of the Caribbean, my friends, is in our hands. Our hands. The fate of our democracy is in our hands. The fate of truth, of justice, of peace is in our hands. I want to issue a challenge to our Caribbean artists. This brings me actually to you directly, because you carry the torch of Caribbean culture today. You are musicians, our poets, our storytellers, our dancers, our actors. Let me be clear. Bob Marley is not just remembered because he made hits. He is remembered because he made history. He didn't chase clout. He didn't bow to the industry's demands. He did not dilute his message for a paycheck. And yet, when we look at today's music, what do we see? Too often, we see lyrics that celebrate violence, that degrade women, that glorify a lifestyle that leads only to prison or to a grave. And I say this not to condemn, but I say it to challenge us. If our goal is to shock people for 5 seconds of fame, then so be it. But if your goal is to be a true artist, if your goal is to leave behind something that will outlive you, then I say this, let us learn from Bob. Because true artistry does not just entertain, it enlightens.